Hello everyone, I just wanted to make a video talking about some books that I've bought recently and what books I am currently reading. So, I recently bought this book, Histories by Herodotus, and Horace's Odes and Epodes. I've begun both of them. I've read the Epodes, and I am into book 3 of Herodotus. I will say, I think I'm enjoying Horace more. I mean, Horace, you sort of just has to submit to his meanderings, but I like the details. He's endearing, but of course sometimes he goes off on tangents, and you're like, okay, so now we're gonna be talking about like Egyptian kings for an entire page, or like some like minute part of like some culture. It's interesting, but it's also like I think you have to be in a specific. I have to at least be in a specific mind frame for it. Just accepting of whatever he wants to talk about. He's like that grandpa that sits mumbling at the corner of the room, that you sort of are wary of, but he knows his stuff. So yes, I like it. I like the translation. It's like not necessarily dense. It's just like I like the first book. I liked when it was talking about like the war between the Lydians and the Persians. I thought that was really interesting, and the subversion that was going on there, and then also the bit about the Persians going eastward. But right now we're a bit bogged down in Egypt, and I don't know. We'll see. I'll persevere, but this is my maybe least favorite part. We're now beginning book 3, so. Or I've just started book 3, so we'll see if we get into some more war stuff. But I don't know. I mean, I enjoy everything. It's just that, like, narratively, there's not as much like happening when you're just describing cultures. It was one thing that I really did find interesting though was when we were talking about the Egyptian culture. Why am I saying we? When he was talking about describing the Egyptian culture, he was talking about the certain. He's talking about like, okay, why does the Nile flood, or like why is it so hot there? Like the sun like stays in the sky or something. And then he also talked about the origin of the Nile, and how somehow like he heard from people from Libya who heard from a king when they were visiting some oracle that some Berbers in the Sahara, some youths who wanted to sort of see the world. They ventured south through the Sahara Desert, and eventually they reached the forest, and they started eating something. And then a bunch of very short black-skinned people came up and took them to their king or something. And this is like, these are pygmies, right? And at this point, Herodotus says like they reached a river. So he believes, I guess for you would be, if this is Africa and Egypt is here, then it would go like this for you. Does that? I don't know if it will do that. It will go. I mean, if Africa is here, Nile, and then he believes it curves like this backwards. But this is not true in reality. But it's very interesting. Like imagine the Berber tribes contacting pygmies in Central Africa. I thought that was super interesting. Hopefully, we get more of those like super like glimpses of like pre-globalized cultural interaction. I think that's super interesting. And then we have Horace. Epodes were good, and I've just started the Odes now. Maybe I'll read you one of my. I think this is one of the most famous ones. It's the book 1, so Odes book 1, poem 9. In this version, I don't know if this is in every version. It has like, I'm assuming it's the first couple words of the Latin, so like vides ut alta. But yeah, I'll just read it. See how Soracte stands deep in dazzling snow, and the trees cannot bear their loads, and bitter frosts have paralyzed the streams. Unfreeze, heap plentiful logs on the hearth, and produce your 4-year Sabine, Thaliarchus, a fine and generous wine. Commit all else to the gods. Once they have quelled the melee of wind and churning water, cypress and mountain ash will be still. Avoid speculation about the future. Count as credit the days chance deals. Youth should not spurn the dance or sweet desire. This is your green time, not your white and morose. In field or piazza, now is the proper season for trading soft whispers in the dark. The telltale complacent laugh of a girl in some secret nook. The pledge removed from an arm or a helpfully helpless finger. I love that. I love the the line that I misspoke, ironically. Now is the proper season for trading soft whispers in the dark. I think that's so good. Or also, this is your green time. Yes, very good. Should I do another one? This one's very famous. See if you can spot the famous little aphorism that was taken from this poem. It's not, this translation is not exactly the one that you maybe say, but anyway. It's the book 1, poem 11. Do not inquire, we may not know what end the gods will give, leuConoe. Do not attempt Babylonian calculations. The better course is to bear whatever will be, whether Jove allot more winters, or this is the last which exhausts the Tuscan sea with pumice rock supposed. Be wise, decant the wine, prune back your long-term hopes. Life ebbs as I speak, so seize each day and grant the next no credit. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Then today I went to secondhand shop and bought some books. I live in Sweden and I read in English, even though I'm Swedish. A bit weird, but so like there's a bunch of Swedish books and my Swedish isn't good enough for me to read it. But so yeah, there wasn't a massive assortment, but I went to 2 stores and I bought some books. So the first one I've already begun reading. You see, it's called The New Silk Roads by Peter Frankopan. It's a funny name. He's a professor of every university. Like, if you just name any prestigious university, he'll have been a professor there, seemingly. And it's interesting. It's quite dry, I'd say. Though I think the idea comes through. Like, he's basically saying that, like, or at least from what I've read so far, that that we are in sort of an age of transformation, where the global center of mass, I guess, or center of power, or center of economic power at least, is shifting east from the west to Asia. And because he's written a previous book about the Silk Roads, which I haven't read, he contextualizes this as sort of being the Silk Road, like everything being in terms of the Silk Roads, or at least like the Silk Roads being a symbol of this new change. So we're reverting to some older, or at least this Silk Roads being this idea that you have a loose agglomeration of peoples and their fluid trade and in harmony with each other, and that this is sort of what we're returning to. Like, this Western dominance was a sort of one epoch, or one era, and now we're moving into a more Asian-dominated world with the growth of China and India, for example. But it also talks about the growth of, or Central Asia, and sort of the immense mineral resources that they have, and the alliances that they're making. So it's a couple of years old, so a couple of the remarks about like Afghanistan and stuff are not true. Speaking of Afghanistan, I also bought this book, The World is a Carpet by Anna Budken. This is super good so far. I've only just started as well, but I think it's a travelogue, really. She's in Afghanistan, and she writes so poetically. It's really, really good. Yeah, rural Afghanistan. So, I mean, which is strange, like, this sort of touches on that region a little bit. This talks about that region a lot, and here we have a book about Afghanistan, sort of very deeply rooted in Afghanistan. So, very, very, I mean, it's a region I don't know that much about, necessarily. So, yes, I'm excited to read about that. Yeah, so it's called The World is a Carpet, 4 Seasons in an Afghan Village. Yeah. I just want to read the first line here, or the first paragraph. At 4 in the morning, a phalanx of black silhouettes set out across the desert. 3 people and a donkey headed west in a sinuous Dust Bowl trail. The yogurt bow bow? No, definitely bow. The yogurt bow of the moon had slipped behind the earth an hour earlier, and the trail wound invisibly through thick pre-dawn dark that arced toward the horizon. All was still. To the south, the Big Dipper scooped out the mountains I could just skylight against the spongy, star-bejeweled March night. So, I like that. Whether that sort of, it's not dense necessarily, but it's poetic, and whether that, there's a balance to be drawn there, you know? If it's too flowery, then you're a bit distracted by the prose. You want to be immersed in the world, and if the language takes you out of it, then I don't think it's fulfilling its purpose. Of course, you can have language that is talking about itself, but yes, we'll see if it. I've only just started, so we'll see if it sort of lives up to what I'm hoping it will be. Yes. Then I have 3 more books here. One is John le Carré, The Secret Pilgrim. I read Tinker Soldier Spy recently, and I've also read the Perfect Spy. And this is the first novel of his that is post Cold War. So this is going to be very interesting. The blurbs are positive. I don't know. I think all le Carré is good. Or so I've heard. But yeah. I don't think you can really go wrong with him. Maybe, I remember, I guess I kind of lied with, I've half read a more recent book of his called Our Game, but I didn't really like that one. Yeah, I don't know. So maybe he can miss, but we'll see, I guess. Then I got Ian McEwan's On Chesil Beach in a nice hardcover. Basically untouched. Super cheap. 37 crowns, which is like what? Couple bucks, couple pounds, something like that. I've read Atonement and The Children Act from him, and this seems, it's nice and short. Maybe I can bang it out. Not tonight, I don't have the time. But, I don't know. Tomorrow? We'll see. Then, I also have Patrick O'Brian, The Commodore. Now, this is not, Patrick O'Brian, in this series, this is like the 19th book or something. But, it's definitely not the first one. And from what I've read, you can read them in any order. They only had this one at the store, so I wasn't gonna, fuss about that. I've heard about him, and this seems like totally up my alley. I don't know. I'm very intrigued by this. Very intrigued by this. Supposed to be a friendship between Aubrey and something? Or is it just the story of he's Jack Aubrey, and he's climbing up the ranks of some, I guess the British fleet, British Navy. Yes. And then, is there anything else I want to speak about? I also got this book, but this is more of a shot in the dark than anything. Llewellyn Powys, Dorset Essays. I was just intrigued by the clips. They also have some nice pictures in here. Cool black and white photographs. Let's see if I can find one of the clips again. Look at that. That looks nice, eh? But, I don't know. I don't know what this is about. But maybe it's cool. Maybe it's not. But it was cheap, so yeah. Oh yes, and then I also have this. The Songlines by Bruce Chapman. I think this is going to be a similar kind of novel to the one about Afghanistan. Another travelogue-ish type book. Yeah, I really like those. I read Tim Butcher's Blood River, and I think that was very fast-paced and lean. And I think this other book, The World is a Carpet, is more flowery, I guess you could say. And I wonder what this one will be. I remember reading this. It's weird. I had this book. My dad had read it a long time ago, and I was intrigued. I read the first 10 pages, and then a while ago I was like, damn, where the hell is that book? And I couldn't find it. I looked everywhere, couldn't find it. But now I bought it and I have it, and I'm excited because it's about Aboriginal Australians, from what I can see. No, I have no idea. Maybe I'm completely wrong. I thought it was about Australia. I think so. Anyway, that's what I'm reading. That's what I'm doing. Yeah. So, oh yeah. And I also bought these thingies. I thought these were cute. There's a little wooden... Is it a cow? I don't know if you can see that. It might be a cow or it might be a pig. But it looks nice. A little cute guy. And then we have this thing, which is made of ceramic. And you can see he's doing some like weird pose with his, I guess his arms. He's praying or he's kneeling with a little curly hat. That was very cute. So, we have a little aesthetic going on. Yeah. That is what I have to share. Ka-chow.